Sitting here all pretty like is my CF Moto Ibex 450. So I've done a number of upgrades to it already, even though I just recently started uploading some videos of it. So first let's talk about the handguards. These are the Cycra Ultra Pro CRM handguards. I've had these on multiple bikes. They're pretty much a perfect fit. I took off the original wind deflector style handguards and remove the bar end weights. You can see here that I also have a different set of grips on here. So the center reach mount, that's what CRM stands for, means that they mount right here in the center. So there's just a little bit of a gap between the handlebar clamp and the clamp for the handguards. So right here is a Tusk accessory dash panel. I've added a USB port to it and a switch for my grip heaters, but let's swing around here and look at the other side of the handguards. Kind of tough to make out in my badly lit garage here, but there's 3 holes here. We have one there. The middle one is where I have the screw mounted, and then another one right there. And then there's also 3 holes on the actual bar itself, or I'm sorry, the clamp that goes around the handlebars. So we have an inner hole, a middle hole, and an outer hole, and I have the screw going through the outer hole, so it gives you a lot of flexibility for mounting. The only thing that I did have to do when I installed this dash panel, because it kind of interfered right in this area, is I rotated the handguards down just a little bit. I really kind of wish that Tusk Rocky Mountain would maybe relocate these switches, or just eliminate a 4th switch and have this panel completely rectangular shaped with a straight edge here and a straight edge here. So if anybody from Rocky Mountain is watching this video, that's just something to take note of, because it kind of limits your options for handguards unless you do what I did and rotated the handguards down just a little bit to clear that. If I ever have to take this switch panel off for handlebar maintenance or whatever, I will probably just take a saw and round this corner just a little bit right there. So let's move on to my USB power port. So we have 2 power delivery PD USB-C ports, and then 2 USB-A, which are quick charge USB 3. A person could use one of these other switch mounting points for auxiliary lights. I honestly don't know what a person would ever need 4 switches for. To be honest, I can't ever envision needing more than 2. One for grip heaters, one for auxiliary lights. The grip heaters and the voltmeter, I forgot to mention there is a little voltmeter in here, so let's go ahead and turn the key on and we can see that. If you buy one of these, I would highly recommend getting one that's red, because the red is a whole lot more visible through this little smoke tinted cover lens. I had one of these in blue on one of my other bikes, and I absolutely hated it because the blue is very difficult to see through the smoked tint of that little lens. So let's see, auxiliary power for the grip heaters, auxiliary power for this, and then my other auxiliary power is up here to my GPS mount. So let's talk about that for just a moment. So down in my collection of Ibex 450 parts, I will have a link down in the description below that goes to my whole shopping list for Ibex 450 parts, is this little platform that mounts on top of this little pod right here that houses the windshield mechanism. And then I bought a Garmin amps style mount, and then a plate, which you need to just be sure that you get the right size bar that matches up with whatever plate that you decide to get, because the diameter of the bar needs to match the diameter of the plate. Some people will mount the GPS up here. I didn't want it up there because I didn't want it raising and lowering when I was adjusting the windshield. And actually, with the windshield all the way down, you really couldn't even put a GPS there anyway. You would basically always have to run the GPS or the windscreen in the fully upright or highest position with a Garmin Zumo XT or XT2. So all of the power for that, I do have another video that describes that upgrade process. I'll have that linked down in the description below, but under the seat here, I have the Tusk accessory power unit, is that little device right there, and it's good for 3 circuits. I have all of my circuits set up so that they are ignition powered. You've got red positive, blue is ignition, and then black is negative. And then I have each of those fuses labeled. My light's kind of overpowering my camera, and the lighting washes out that labeling right there. I've also added these Cyclops Adventure Sports turn signals. They're pretty much indestructible, and as far as I can tell, these are about the best turn signals you can get for a dual sport or adventure bike. We've got a little spring here, and then there's a rubber arm. You can see here they're really flexible. So I have these wired so that they function as brake lights, tail lights, and turn signals. There's with just the key turned on in tail light mode. And the ones up front are wired so that they function as daytime running lamps as well as turn signals. In addition to adding heated grip kit, which I should really call grip heaters because they aren't heated grips themselves, it's a heating element that's under the grips. I also installed new grips. So these are Pro Grip model 717. They're relatively soft. I like these because they're about the same diameter as any typical motorcycle grip. On past motorcycles, my DR350, I had ran Pro Grip 737s, which are a much larger diameter, which does make them softer. But I didn't like them because I kind of have small hands, and it was sort of hard to hold on to them wearing gloves, especially big heavy winter gloves, which I sometimes wear. So if we look up under here, I have the wiring harness for the grip heating element routed right out the bottom and just a little bit forward. I kind of should have mounted it right there directly at the 6 o'clock position. Instead, it's about the 7 o'clock position. But then I have this tied right to the wiring that comes out of the switch pod, and then it routes following the wire harness down to where I have it connected back here behind this turn signal. And then basically the same thing over here on the throttle side. Though you can see here I have a little bit of a loop, and that loop is necessary to have a little bit of play when you, of course, turn the throttle. I've been running these same grip heaters on several bikes. I've got them over there on my old school DRC 400, which I've been running on that bike since 2006. And other than changing the switch once because it kind of failed and quit working, I've never had any problem with these heating elements. There's one other thing I have too. Actually, there's 2 other things. First thing was a screen protector for the instrument panel. That was supposed to be a anti-glare screen protector, but it's not. So I was kind of bummed about that. And then next we have a little sunshade. You can see that how when I'm holding this work light, it provides a little bit of shade onto that screen. So that'll help when I'm riding in bright sunlight. And it literally just snaps into place. My video where I showed all the accessories kind of shows sort of an overview of this before I installed it on the bike. And you can see here there's this little clip. There's one on each corner, and then there's a bigger lip on the bottom that just makes it snap over the screen. Actually, I can pull it off right now. Nope, I can't, unless I use 2 hands. So I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Don't know how soon I'm going to be able to do any more videos about any of my bikes because one of my hard drives crashed, and stupid me, I didn't have any of those video files backed up. So I shipped that hard drive off to a data recovery company, so let's see how much of a small fortune that's going to cost and if they can even recover the data on the drive. Tires, I'm still running the stock tires. I guess I kind of forgot to mention that. I really don't know what I'm going to upgrade to when I do decide to replace the tires. Probably the Tusk 2-track is what I've got in mind, I think. Those are a tubeless style tire, and these are tubeless style wheels. I kind of like the look of the high fender. Over here you can see the same thing on this T7, and I did that to my T7 as well. I haven't done it yet, but I may upgrade to a better radiator protector back there. I just haven't researched that at all yet. I really didn't do a whole lot to this bike over the summer because I bought a new DRZ 4S, and I spent all of my time focusing on trying to do some videos and riding that bike. So the poor Ibex pretty much got neglected. It's just recently that I've started doing a few videos on it and adding a few more upgrades. One thing I did forget to mention is down here I have a set of, I wouldn't really call these pannier racks, they're more side plates. It's the kit that CF Moto sells. So, and there's also a rear rack in there that I believe takes the place of this and also deletes the side handle. So it lets you use a set of rackless style saddlebags. So the plastic rack comes off. You've got a metal plate that kind of goes over here in this area, and same thing over on this side. And it just allows a place for the bags to kind of rest against at an angle, and then there's a piece that drapes over the seat that kind of connects the two bags together. I actually won a set of bags from another YouTuber. They were the Westwind Ranger 40s, which is the bags that are made for this bike that is also sold by CF Moto. And they're made to work with that set of racks that I bought. And I bought those racks from another CF Moto Ibex 450 owner. So if you've got an Ibex 450 or a 450 MT, drop some comments down below and let me know what kind of other accessories might be worthwhile adding to this bike. I'm hoping to do either part of the Washington backcountry discovery route or maybe part of the Idaho backcountry discovery route this summer. If you've made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the playlist that I have for the Ibex 450 as well as my old clapped out missing the front wheel DRZ 400 that I've had since 2006. And over here I've also got a playlist for my 2025 DRZ 4S, which is missing the fuel tank because I'm working on installing an IMS fuel tank on that bike. And again, thanks for watching.